Good evening, everybody. Happy Friday, and welcome to Minis and Muscles live Friday night, 7 p.m. here in the glorious United Kingdom. How are we all today? How is everybody? So let's just wait for a few more people to join whilst I get everything ready and prepared. It's been a fairly hectic work week this week, so it's nice to sit back and do something that's a passion and a hobby. You know, what we've mentioned before in previous streams about balancing your life and aligning yourself so you have a passion and a hobby to be able to follow. And I've done a short on it as well, just in case you've missed that short. So hopefully everybody's good. It looks like we've got 2 viewers on so far. So that is very cool. It's only 1 minute past with 2 viewers. Come on, the Minis and Muscles. But yeah, in all serious, no jokey fashion, I hope all is good. Well, we're back again for a 3rd time. So it's some consistency happening here, and I'm managing to ensure that I keep to my schedule. Which is really, really good. So welcome back. Thank you again for everyone joining, whether you're going to join live or whether you're going to join later on and watch this on a catch-up, because I always put the videos of the live streams back onto YouTube in a catch-up format. And you'll see those. I'll also number them for you so it's easier, so you can see catch-up 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. as we go on. So it's Friday. We're here again. And we wanted to, last week actually, we talked about Dungeons and Dragons. Yes, when I cast my memory back to the very long time last week. What's Adrian saying? Sorry I missed last week. No problem at all, mate. No problem at all. As long as you watch it on catch up, that's not a drama. Because everything helps with the algorithms. Oh, we got a thumbs up. Was that me doing a thumbs up, or was that the system or someone doing it? I don't know. I have no clue. I am literally winging it whilst I'm here. We've got 3 viewers on. But as I said last week, we were talking mainly around Dungeons and Dragons. Whilst we were painting and modelling and things like that, what people are up to, what people are doing. We covered a few of my favourite characters from past. So I talked about my very favourite dwarf character from Dungeons and Dragons that I played as, and his name was Dwim Ironhammer, a rather foolish, stupid fighter dwarf, but a lovable character nonetheless, and he was very, very fun to play. We spoke about a couple of bits and bobs about what you like to play and where that was going, so we had a couple of suggestions on either games that people like to do, and also talked about different individual characters as well that people are building out, so that was really nice. So a quick agenda recap? No, not a recap, because we're going to talk rundown. That's the word I was looking for. An agenda rundown. So on today's live, we are going to go back to our model. So our model of Grombrindle. I'm saying it right? Yeah, Grombrindle, yes. So our coveted dwarven hero. We're going to go back to continuing to paint him. Hopefully we'll get some suggestions from you guys about what areas of Grombrindle to paint. So last week, if we take a quick look back at Grombrindle, we did some silver on the axes and the weaponry around the edge. We did a shield that's down the front here and a red shield that's at the back. And then we also did the stones, the stone that he stood on, and then the stones around it. Actually, I should probably use my very well set up side camera to bring him in here. There we go. So we did Grombrindle. Here he is. If I just spin him very slowly, and you can see all the rocks around the edge. He's the White Dwarf, Adrian. Yes, correct. He is the White Dwarf, the legendary White Dwarf that made it to multiple different events, whether you were going and seeing Warhammer there live, or whether you were reading the White Dwarf magazine. He is that guy. We spoke about a couple of his antics and how he is a sort of nefarious traveller that disappears and appears in the needs and right moments that the dwarves require a hero, Grombrindle is that dwarven hero that turns up and saves the day. So yeah, we had a good old chat about him, and we'll be going back into the painting, as I said. Hopefully with a few of you online, we'll start to choose some of the elements of him to paint, and then we'll just chat along and paint as we go, and we'll be talking about a few different painting tips and things like that. So that's Grombrindle. We will also talk today on retro gaming. So one of my other loves is retro gaming. So we're going to talk a little bit about retro gaming, whether that's, you know, your favourite computer games of past, ones you've played, cheat codes, all the rest of that sort of good jazz. We will cover that off. And that's one of the topics we'll cover today. And then, of course, we will have our muscle moments, because this is the channel where the brawn meets the brush. So yes, I managed to get that slogan in my tagline. I managed to get it in, which is good. It took me ages to come up with that, and I was rather proud of the brawn meets the brush. So let me know if you can think of any other slogans or taglines in the chat that I should use. Oh, we've got four people online at the moment, I think. I think concurrent viewers means at 4 online, with 6 views in total. So 6 people come out. 2 people dropped off. How very dare they? Well, hopefully they'll be back and they'll see the value of the Minis and Muscles channel. Anyway, let's get back to what we're here for. Is painting minis, right? So I'm going to bring up one of my other cameras here, and let's have a look at our man Grombrindle. So here he is. So as I said, in fact, we should shed some light on the situation. There we go. We can bring that down a little bit. As we are looking at this model to paint, here he is at front of us at the moment. There's a couple of different various rock colours. It's all very rough at the moment, so this is not the finished article. But you've got the shield that's printed on the front there. Might do some detail on the shield, perhaps. Do some little gold in there. We've got his cape at the back, and then we've got the shield at the back as well. All to be detailed and finished out. So this is where we are with him. He's looking pretty cool already. And I've got to say, like, I don't know if you guys can see. There you go. He is really detailed. I love like his long beard and the sort of what looks like right on the end of his beard is like a sort of copper type tassel. And if you look around the edge of him, he's got sort of little trinkets wrapped around his belt and things like that. But even the details around the base, if I just zoom out slightly, there we go. So you've got like a helmet there, you've got a shield, an axe, you've got a sword, you've got some kind of pike type thing. I think that might even be like an orc head that's in there. I might have to look that and see what that is on the box. You've got an orc type shield or a goblin type shield. That's quite funky and cool. Various other weapons. Another shield with a skeleton on. A bit of armour as well, I think, there. But yeah, he's a really cool mini. And I do have a love for dwarven minis and characters in general. They are pretty cool. But yeah, this one really stood out to me. And like I said in the other stream, I was lucky enough for a friend to give me this one. So that's pretty cool. So that's the progress we've made in the last session. I literally, all I did was run some quick colours around the edge at the end of the last session, just for those last little rocks around the edge, just so they're filled in, because that's a bit of a repetitive process anyway, and they'll need to be gone back over. So don't worry about that. They're the only things I've done off camera, so don't feel like you're robbed or I've left you guys out. Evening all, Aimzo, how you doing? So yes, let's change over cameras. Put that one down. Yes, apologies. When I have this camera in to shed some light on the situation, it kind of sits in my face, doesn't it? And I should really have some really funky thing that's sort of sat above me and shining right down onto the model. That would be really cool. But maybe one day when we have 1 million viewers tuning in and, you know, things like that, and the ads pay for themselves, that would be very good. But who else have we got online tonight? So we've got 2. We've got Adrian and we've got Aimzo saying hello. Who else is online? Come on, don't be shy. Say hello. Whoever you are, it'd be lovely to hear from you. Have a little bit of interaction in the chat whilst I get my paintbrush ready. So again, make sure you've got clean water whenever you're painting. First thing I did before I sat down tonight was made sure I've got my paints ready. I pre-shook them. You'll be glad to know you won't have to listen to that silly vibrating machine that I've got. I pre-shaken all my paints that I think we might use tonight. There again, you guys can choose, so I might find some more. And I've got my new paints. I've just topped up a little bit of water in my wet palette from last week. Beauty about a wet palette, and we were talking about that the other week, is that not only does it keep your paints really nice and thin when you're using it there and then, but actually we were mixing up colours last week, right? And you can see them all here. Because the palette is wet enough, without too much extra liquid, you can go back to them almost a week later and use them again. So if you've painted an area and you think it's some colour merge that you've done and you've mixed lots in to get there, first of all, make a little bit extra so that you have extra in your palette. And then when you've come to it next week, you might be able to use it again. Just add a little tiny bit of water because it might be a bit dry. Tiny bit of water, and then you can crack straight on, and that stops you having to remix the colour. Because plenty of times when I've painted models, I've had to make my own custom colour out of several different paints, and I've ended up having to redo the whole thing because I haven't had enough. Because I painted it one week, didn't have enough, and then I've gone to make it again and it's been a completely different colour. So yeah, rather frustrating. Bearded Veteran is saying Minis-N-Muscles where the biceps meet the brushes. Oh yeah, well mine's the brawn meets the brushes, yeah. So yeah, brawn, biceps, same kind of thing. But if there's any other suggestions for taglines, I'd be very interested. Big Steve, little models. Yeah, well, surprisingly, it may look big, but I'm certainly not. I'm only, what, 5'7" or 8 or something. I'm quite short. So, yeah, I'm not very tall at all. Good evening, CR. Hope you're well. CR, it reminds me of Critical Role, is a Dungeons and Dragons program that I watch. But yes, it reminds me of that. But anyway, without further ado, let's crack on. So, if I switch back to our side camera, so we've got our model here. What colours should we be painting, guys? What should we be doing next? We've got the axe, we've got the hair, we've got like a fur coat, we've got more of the weaponry. Do we put more detail in it? Do we do his armour? Do we do his beard? What should we do? Whilst we're just waiting for that to come in, I'm going to just adjust this. So I reckon we should go a bit lower. I set this camera quite high, but actually I think it'd probably be better a little bit lower. There we go. That's better. So when I hold him, you can see him a little bit better. There we go. Actually, like the second one, sounds like dwarf porn, so maybe not. yeah, it could be. It's all right. So I'll start me OnlyFans channel. It'll be all right. So I'll be like a OnlyFans creator. Hello, Master Dwarf, said Theron. Ah, hello, Theron. Or should I say, hello, Theron. How are you doing? I've missed you crazy bastard, you. Oh, shouldn't swear. It's YouTube. I shouldn't swear. Apologies there. So, come on, suggestions. What are we going to paint next? Because if you guys don't decide, I'm going to have to pick a colour. And there's one that stood out right in front of me, which I'm shaking right now just in case it's not mixed up enough. Oh, actually, I could do with a new paint here. Running out of this colour. So what colours should we... Or, sorry, what part of the model should we be painting next? And just to remind you what he looks like... There he is in all his glory. So we've done the rock in the middle, some of the weapons round the outside. And if we switch that round, you can see, there you go, some of the bits at the back as well. That's our model. Any suggestions for what we should be painting? Or should I narrow it down a little bit for you? Should we go with, should we go with the armour that he is wearing? Or should we go with his beard? The armour or his beard? And whilst we're deciding on that, I think I'll switch to this view. And I will just do a little bit of detailing whilst we're here, whilst we're deciding what we're going to paint next. So I just fancied the gold. It was standing out, it was calling me. This gold looks really smart. And again, whenever you're painting, use little, use very little, because it goes so far. So you don't need much of this paint at all to be able to spread it around. Just be very gentle when you put it on. Again, you can see I'm not using a super fine brush itself. You know, this brush is, I don't even know what category. It's got a 2 and a 0 written on it, but this is some cheap brush that is off Amazon, so it's not like it's you know, a really expensive tool here that we're using. So you can swear on YouTube as long as it's not within the first 30 seconds. It's because YouTube don't want swearing in the automatic previews. Oh, okay. All right, well, I'll try not to swear anyway. It's not always good to swear. Although, you know, those, if there are any of my military or ex-military friends online, and you don't have to reveal yourselves if you are, it's a habit, isn't it? Swearing, it's a really bad habit. Leaving the military was like a big thing anyway, and when you do, it's like re-educating yourself on how to speak correctly in front of people. Paint outwards armour. Okay, so I can start on the armour. I think that's the only vote we've had for armour. So, Adrian, you have your wish, sir. I shall start the armour. I'll just finish this little bit of gold off, this detailing on the shield, because it's just quite nice. I like the standout colour. Looks very smart. So how was everyone's week? What's everyone been up to? Has anyone been doing anything cool? Or was it just crappy old work and, you know, stuck to the desk all week and you didn't really get much done? What happened? If anything cool did happen, drop it in the chat, guys. Tell me what's going on in your world. I'd be very pleased to hear. So, we're just tidying up this little bit of gold around this shield, which looks very smart. I never ever thought when I was painting models that I'd be able to do these little details, but as time's gone on, I've just got a little bit better. By the way, I'm no pro, so don't be expecting this model to be finished and look like pro standard. If you're looking for pro standard, you've just joined this channel and you're watching in, I'm half decent, but I'm no pro. And the reason why I started this channel, part of the reason why I started this channel, was because I just felt that there's a lot of tutorials online for people, but they're not very easy. Some of them are really hard and the standards are so high, it just makes you look at your models and go, geez, you know, my model looks absolute cack compared to X person's model. But let's have a little look here on the side cam. Can I get it in? Why does that not focus very well? Should be autofocus, right? But yeah, that's what he's looking like at the moment. Might be able to get a better view on this camera. Here we go. So, there you go. That's not too bad. You can see the gold on the front of that shield. Looks pretty sweet. Okay, so let's just move that back to my side cam. So Bearded Veteran saying he's had a painful week as his back is knackered and keeps going into full-on excruciating spasms. Calling you to fall. Oh mate, that's not good. I did have sciatica for about 18 months. So I couldn't ease the pain at all. You know, I was in my late 30s at the time and on a bloody walking stick. It was ridiculous. But it really hurt. So I know I don't literally feel your pain, but I understand your pain, Bearded Veteran. Back pain is not fun. Oh, stunning work. Thank you. Well, that was a little bit of gold just to apply whilst we were waiting. So Adrian was saying, go the armour. All right, so by the armour, I take it you mean the armour that Grombrindle is wearing. Okay, so that causes me to stop and do a little bit of an education here. So let's have a look. Righty. Okay, so when we're looking at this model, can you guys see the small... I need a pointer, don't I? That's what I need. All right, here we go. Let's use a paintbrush for a pointer. So just in here, these little bits here, all the little sort of scales of the armour, all right? Because it's painted black as your undercoat, you get the sort of underside of it, and it will have a black on the underside, right on the edge. And if you don't paint the entire piece of scale and you literally just lightly go over the top, it leaves the edge black, which gives it like a 3D effect. It's another little cheaty trick for you. So there's your first tip of the day. So go steady on the silver. So let's find ourselves a silver. Oh, I haven't even got a silver out. Crikey, where have I put my silver? Now, that's a great question. Oh, it's right there next to me in front of me, so I have to mix this one up. We had a bit of in the chat. Same here, 36 and having to use a walking stick. Even Santa, mate, I feel your pain. My walking stick is still by my front door. Still by my front door. It's pretty horrific. So if anyone has ever had sciatica, they'll understand what it feels like. But it's really horrible, like really horrible. It's not good at all. Yeah, but we'll get through it. We'll soldier through. And the trouble is, no painkillers work either. So you have to have some special painkillers for that kind of stuff. Oh, in fact, I've got some silver already in my wet palette. So if I just, this would be perfect actually what we're talking about. So you know, we're talking about the wet palette and how it holds paint in there for you. Just in applying a tiny bit of a wet brush onto the slightly dried paint, you can bring it back to life again, but not so it's so runny. It's perfect for what we're trying to do here. So if I bring it in to the camera here, and we just lightly go over these scales. Like I say, you don't need to paint the entirety of the scale. That's not what you want to do. What you want to do is you want to just paint the top of it, leaving the bottom and the side, because the bottom and the side being black will give it that 3D effect. So we're just whopping a bit of paint in here. Here we go. Doesn't have to be perfect as well. Remember, guys, it doesn't have to be perfect. Half the time when I'm painting models and you think, oh no, I need to do that again because it doesn't quite look right. Or actually, when you take it away, it doesn't need to be perfect at all. So it's just going around the bottom here, half of his armour, applying this silver. And this is, for any geeks out there, this is Lead Belcher, which is a base colour, which gives us opportunity as well to use some of the lighter silvers if we want to bring some of the edges out, or just put some lighter patches in just to give it a bit more realism. We can do that. So here we go. Right, see, as I've actually gone just over the edge on one of these pieces actually, which is okay. It doesn't really matter too much because we can come back to it. I do need a better camera, don't I? Because it seems to focus about there. I really don't know how to change that. So apologies, guys, if it's not quite giving you the desired view. But we'll bear with. So let's just get a bit more silver on there. So what else has everyone else been up to? Come on, one person's given us a little bit about what they've been doing. What about the rest of you? Hopefully you can give me a little bit of an understanding of what's been going on in your week. Anything interesting? Anyone win the lottery? I won £20 on the lottery. 20 quid. Get in. Not a millionaire yet, but you know, we can keep trying. There, the difficulties, you know, we're talking about as well when you make a model And if you do what I did and get really eager and you make the model and you put it all together, you then find it very difficult to get underneath the things like the cape and stuff. That does make it a tricky situation. So I would recommend taking a look at the build of the model before you assemble it, and assemble as you go. Just assemble bit by bit, and then if you think, oh, if I stick that there, that's going to cover that, then that's your time to paint. So paint that little area, then put the next part on. What's been adventure? Have you ever thought of getting a base clamp so you hold a handle underneath the Mini rather than the parts you've already painted? Yeah, so I've got one here. So I'll show you here. Here we go. I've got one here that you can sit one in. So this is just a Citadel one. But, you know, I'm not a massive... Yeah, they're okay. They're all right. I mean, I can stick it on now. I'll take these arms off because I don't need those. But yeah, so you can use it like this. And this is what Bearded Veteran's talking about in terms of clamps that you can use for painting models. It means that you don't have to hold the edges. But I actually quite like... I quite like getting close to the action. So I quite like holding the edge of the model. But it doesn't mean to say you can't do just as good a job with or without. And another thing as well is I'm trying to sort of get people to paint and try painting without spending a fortune. So, you know, a clamp like this is not an essential piece of kit for anyone that's starting out on painting. You don't need one of these specifically. But they're nice. They're okay. Okay, so that's his armour part there. But he does have a nice belt underneath. Not sure what belt. Oh, so he's got like a bronzy coloured belt. So if we bring this, oh, you can't see because of the light reflection. But let's bring that up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little bit. He says. Let's just move that. There you go. So he's got like a bronzy coloured belt underneath. And that's what we need to do next, I guess. So that's the next part. So bring the light back in. Bring in our boy Grombrindle. Okay, so for the underside of that belt, it's got a really cool dwarven belt on. Let's take ourselves a bronze. So let's just get rid of that silver. Remember, when you're washing your paintbrush in the water, go gentle. A couple of short, sharp flicks. Then get your piece of paper, tissue paper's fine, or kitchen roll. But when you're dipping your paintbrush in, try not to take it past this point here, because the water then seeps into the wood and rots it away and it all falls off. And we don't want that, because it means you've got to buy another paintbrush. So we got that part done. Anyway, one of the topics I wanted to talk about today was retro gaming, rather than just talking about the model. So, retro gaming, massive passion of mine, has been for a very, very long time. And well, it all started as a kid playing games, really. And I think one of my favourite games from growing up, and I don't know if anyone played it, was the Double Dragon series. Oh my lord, Double Dragon was possibly, in fact, it was my most favourite game ever. And that was on the original Nintendo. So the NES, the 8-bit Dream. That was an awesome computer, or a console rather. It's not a computer, is it? It's a console. That was absolutely mega. So I played loads of Double Dragon. So for those of you who haven't played Double Dragon before, Double Dragon is a side-scrolling beat-em-up type game that was made in the was it mid to late 80s? Yeah, mid to late, I think maybe late 80s, maybe 88 or something like that, 89. And then rolled through into the 90s as well with a couple of different variants. But it was an awesome game. Really, really good fun. Like, really good fun. Absolutely loved that game. So you were Billy or Jimmy. That was it. Billy or Jimmy were the two characters. One was in blue, one was in red. And you would just side-scroll through this sort of side-scrolling platformer. beating the hell out of the baddies, because there's always a damsel in distress in Double Dragon, and it was, I can't remember whose girlfriend it was, but it was one of either Billy or Jimmy's, who were brothers. It was their girlfriend that you were rescuing. And you see at the start she gets sort of kidnapped by the big bad, and he takes her away, and then you have to sort of side scroll through all these various different levels. But that was absolutely brilliant. The gameplay on it for the time was freaking awesome. The levels all changed, and there were pretty significant changes actually in every level, from especially as it's 8-bit, so you didn't have a huge amount of options at the time, but actually it felt like this was something quite cutting edge when we played it. And I played it with my cousins, so I used to play it with them, and I think they had Double Dragon 2, because I had Double Dragon 1, and I played that, and then they got Double Dragon 2. But they were gaming like sickos. They were really good. I was alright at gaming, but that was my favouriteest game. I have fond memories of that. Wow, so I used to love playing Hogs of War. Hogs of War and South Park on the PS1. Oh, Hogs of War, was that the airplane game? That was, wasn't it? It was like a World War II airplane game, I think. But yeah, South Park on the PS1. My buddy in school as I was leaving school, he was obsessed with South Park, like absolutely obsessed, and he had that. I didn't have South Park on the PS1, but it was a very good game nonetheless. But when that's retro, does that count as retro? There you go. There's a question for the chat. What counts as retro gaming? Now, for me, PS1, I wouldn't have counted that as retro gaming. For me, it would be Nintendo, original Nintendo, Super Nintendo. That's probably an N64 maybe, but then you've got the Sega equivalents, so your Master System, your Mega Drive, they were sort of the retro-y, the SNES and the NES equivalents, but they were very good. I'll take that off because I can't stand this bass, it just gets in the way. But yeah, I absolutely loved Double Dragon. That was so cool. What else did anyone else play? Did anyone else hit up some games whilst they were younger? Hopefully you did. So it's one of the cool things in life, a little bit of video gaming. Although I haven't played anything for a long, long time. I say a long time, for a few months. Was last playing Baldur's Gate, although that's not retro. But what I did get retro is I bought a Raspberry Pi about, was it in lockdown? I think I might have got it in lockdown, I bought a Raspberry Pi, programmed it up for an emulator to run ROMs on. Run ROMs on an emulator, and it looks like a tiny little Nintendo. It's really, really cool. But it's a fairly powerful game, sort of computer that plays old retro games, and it plays. I've got hundreds on there, from Commodore 64 stuff, Atari stuff, Nintendo, Sega, Game Gears, Game Boys, all the way up to N64. I think's on there. I think I've got Mario Kart on there on the N64, but it doesn't really play that well. I think it's a bad ROM. But yeah, they're really cool, and it's an awesome bit of kit. It's really cheap. So Raspberry Pis are, I think I paid like maybe £100 for it. It wasn't a huge amount of money. Maybe less actually. Can't have been £100, maybe less. Maybe £60 or something. And then all the ROMs generally are free. So there are some you have to pay for still, but generally you get quite a few for free. And they're really good. And you can build out your catalogue. So I think I've got about 500 games on this Raspberry Pi. It's absolutely awesome. And the best part about Raspberry Pi is you can play the old arcade games. So, who ever played the old arcade games? Come on. Don't leave me hanging. What we're saying in chat. Is a World War I game based on worms? Oh, I do know. Oh, voiced by Rick Mail. Man, love that guy. I used to watch the Bottom TV series, literally till my eyes fell out. Loved that TV series. That was super cool. Um, so that starred Rick Mail, and I even went to see him live at the Hammersmith Apollo. That was something special. He's on my, the question where people say, "Oh, if you could have four people at your dinner party, who would it be?" Rick Mail is one of them. Oh man. Ah, I do remember that. I don't remember Rick Mail voicing it though. I might have to get the game just to hear his voice. But that's freaking hilarious. For those who don't know, Rick Mail is a British comedian. Rose to fame in TV series like The Young Ones, which was sort of late 70s, early 80s. Then had a few other spin offs as well. Then did my favourite TV series, which was Bottom. And that was funny. That was absolutely gold telly. Gold standard. Apparently retro games are generally games played on consoles discontinued before the early 2000s. Oh yeah, I suppose, because like, to be fair, what I'm imagining retro gaming is because, I'm going off my own age, whereas actually retro for me is not retro for the next man or the next woman, right? So yeah, it's very different what people consider things being retro. Yeah, so that makes sense. So have we got any other gamers online listening? Who else have we got on? Where's our gamers at? Come on, we got a few people watching so far. Bearded Veterans holding down the chat, which is very good. Thank you, sir. My mouse. I bought this mouse, and it's absolutely terrible, I have to say. Never buy off Amazon. Not for a crappy mouse, anyway. I'm going to have to use my pad here. Let's see. If I can see who is online and who is not, I don't know. So yeah, again, I'm getting used to this OBS malarkey, but yeah, I'm not too sure if I can see the details of who's on, who's not, so I can't call you out, unfortunately. And not call you out in a bad way, but say hello to you all. So Adrian said I played PS1 Duke Nukem on my PS2. Oh, was it? Yeah. Oh yeah, because PS2 was retro compatible, wasn't it? And so was PS3, I think, as well. I think both those consoles were. I remember buying a PS2 from Blockbuster, Video Games. Yeah, that was something really cool. Duke Nukem though, classic game. Yeah, Duke Nukem. He's still got that in the 360. Yeah, it's a quality game. It's like a bit like Doom, isn't it? Doom and Duke Nukem were like the sort of rivals at the time. But I think they're both quality games. I absolutely love both of them. I think they're very, very good. I'd quite happily play either today. Not bad at all. Oh, that's right. I was talking about arcade games, wasn't I? You have to remind me, chat, when I lose my thought of concentration. But yeah, arcade games. So the Raspberry Pi, you can, like I said, you can upload ROMs from PS1s or N64s or SNES or NES or whatever it is. But you can also upload ROMs, and ROMs are basically the files which the games are written in. And you can upload ROMs that they're from arcade machines. So, fun fact, I used to live for a very short period of time in a seaside town. And I lived in a seaside town with my mum, and they had loads of arcades there, obviously, with the 2p penny pushers and all that. And there was loads of arcade games down there. I used to love going down to the arcades, just taking a handful of cash going down there. And because you're a local, when the tourists have been in, and you go down there and put a couple of 2p's in the 2p machine and pull out all the fivers that were laying on the top. That's when they actually gave out different decent gifts, on the top tray. So that was fun. But yeah, I used to go down the old arcade. That was pretty fun. And one of my favourite games down the arcade to play was The Simpsons. So in chat, has anyone played the Simpsons arcade game, the 4-player version? So you can play as Lisa, Bart, Homer, or Lisa, Bart, Homer. Was it not? It's not. Oh, Lisa, Bart, Homer. What's the? Oh gosh, what's the lady's name? Marge. There you go. You could play as Marge as well. Marge had the weapon. Marge had was a Hoover. Homer had a bowling ball. Bart had his skateboard, and Lisa had a necklace, I believe. Yeah, and that was a brilliant game, a 4-player game that you could do. And to be fair, I played that not so long ago, and got through and completed it with 2 others, and it was bloody brilliant. I absolutely enjoyed that. That was really good. However, it made me realise how bloody difficult it was. So, you know, in the arcade, you have to pump in, 50p's here or 20p's there or whatever to play the game, right? Well, this one, I must have added extra lives beyond belief. Because it's on Raspberry Pi, you can just press select and start and add as many lives as you want, right? As if you're just pumping coins in. But I think I jacked it up to I thought, oh, sod this, I want to complete it, because I tried with only a couple of bare minimal lives and I was like, I'm not getting nowhere here. And I wanted to complete it, so I jacked it up to 50 lives or something ridiculous. And that would have cost me a lot of money as a kid. But I did get through it and did play it, but it just made me realise those games were just not meant to allow you to win. They were really hard. And to suss the boss out, because every boss level that you get to has got there's like a tactic or a regime that you have to apply to kill them, right? So it'll be like a set pattern they move in or something that you have to quickly understand. Now, I just also thought, playing this in the arcade, to understand that pattern real quick and to then know how to kill the boss, that's going to rinse your credits, man. So I did manage to complete the Simpsons video arcade game, but it did in theory would have cost me about 50 quid to win. So it was a lot of theoretical pennies I put in the slot, but it was very funny and a good game, and surprisingly still good now, even when you think of modern day games. Yeah, okay, so the graphics are very different, but actually gameplay and value you get out of the game itself, I think, is still just as high on some of these old games anyway. Some of them were useless. There were some terrible games made, but there were some bloody bangers, and that is one of them. So back to our model. What I'm doing right now, so if I zoom out just a little bit, in fact I'll use our second camera here. Let's change cameras, shall we? Let's go on to this one. Alrighty, so here is our man. Let's just tip him up a little bit. Can you see that 3D effect I'm talking about on the chainmail? Just by not applying the silver to everything, allowing that black edge, it looks like it pops out. And then underneath that, I've just put a layer of blue, because that's his sort of the colour of his shirt or whatever it is that's underneath his armour. So I'm just putting that in at the moment. That looks very nice. He does have in there as well, if I just tip it up, his gold belt. We're going to put more detail on the gold belt in a minute, but hopefully that's good. Yeah, it looks good, doesn't it, Billy Veteran? I like it. It looks pretty smart. So he seems to be coming along nicely. Let's just move that back to there. Yeah, I really do need to sort this camera situation out, because it's not viewer friendly, is it? It's not super easy to see what I'm doing. So we've got look, 18 views. Again, 18 views, 3 viewers. Oh man, I must be talking cack, so everyone's running off to the hills. Or I'm hoping that that's 18 people that are viewing it right now, and I just don't understand what OBS is telling me. So maybe we do have 18 people viewing. That would be good. So again, I'm trying to just get in the paint underneath the model. And again, if you think about your model preparation and how you're building them, just take this into consideration, because it will hinder some of the areas that you can or can't do. It just makes it a little bit more simpler if you allow yourself that. Don't get excited like I did and just assemble the model. Don't be a child like me. Do it properly like you should. Because there's like this bit here, I don't know if I'll be able to zoom in. Let's see if I can zoom in on my other camera. This is going to be real difficult to do. So if you can see through the gap underneath his legs, there's like a black triangle, the other side between his legs. No, it's not what you're thinking. It's just a black piece of cloth. If we spin it round here, you'll see it's actually the front here, this bit of armour. That's what you're looking at, but you're looking at the reverse of it. Now, the reverse of it should be blue. I've now got to go all the way through his legs to paint underneath there. That's why you don't want to necessarily always build your model before you paint, because it makes it a pain in the backside. I've just bought an endoscope that plugs into your phone so I can get close low-level shots of dioramas. Oh, nice. How does that work then? Is it just literally you plug it into the USB on your phone, or does it go like on the camera? How does that work, Bearded Veteran? I'd be interested about that for 15 quid. That's pretty good. So I'm just at the moment just really delicately, I think I've done it. Oh, without too much overspill as well. That's quite nice. You see, when you're reaching through these little gaps and you're trying to paint these ever so small areas, it does make it bloody difficult. But we'll get there. I think that's good enough. All right, so that's cool. So just check on the model. Oh, yeah, it does have blue on his sleeves and places like that, so we'll have to do his sleeves. Of course we will. We don't want to leave them out. We don't want him to be shirtless, although he should be in a vest, shouldn't he, if he's part of the Minis-N-Muscles crew. So I expect every single viewer is sat there in the vest right now. You all sat in your vests, flexing whilst you're painting, or you're chilling on your Friday evening, doing what you do. So there we go, a little bit of blue around his arm. That looks a little bit too light for me. Not quite liking the blue. It's just a bit too light. It looks... Sometimes when you paint colours and they go on a surface, they don't look real. I know it sounds really stupid. It's probably a really stupid thing to say, but they look really odd and they don't quite look right. And this is one of those moments where I'm painting over this area and I'm thinking, that blue doesn't quite look right. It looks like it's kind of fake. And that's generally how and why I like to undercoat in black, because undercoating in black kind of masks that a little bit when you're painting your models. It does keep colours more, what I find, a more natural look, whereas white tends to really shine on colours. So if you want a really standout colour, use a white as your base coat. If you want it to look a little bit more realistic, then use a dark undercoat. I always advise a black, but you know, you can do what you want. Just going around the edge of his arm right now, around his t-shirt. We've established he's not wearing a vest. He's contravening standing orders of Minis-N-Muscles YouTube channel. So, you know, we'll have to put him into the brig. So is it the Navy called it the brig? I'm pretty sure the Navy called it the brig. Got any Navy people on? Anyway, how are we doing? Hells, Def going good. Oh, thank you very much. And how are you, Hells? What's been going on? Are you well? Are you keeping all right? Bearded Veteran saying, yeah, you can plug it into your phone or computer and it acts as any other camera except a lot less cumbersome and easy to get in small places. Ah, okay, all right. So I'll have to check that out. I've just realised I painted part of his bloody axe there whilst I'm in chat, mindlessly dabbing on things with my paintbrush. What a fool! Yeah, so just trying to just get this paintbrush in these little crevices here, just around the edge of the model, just so that I can feel some of that edging. Don't worry about the splodges or the splurges or whatever you want to call them. They'll disappear when we tidy them up. Always the first round of paints like this, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to get in there. You need to get into all the little places and just fill the holes and make sure that you cover all the black bits. So that's the main priority here. There we go. Now, again, real tricky part. I've got to go right in between where this where his cape is and his armour that we just painted. Probably should have done this shirt first, right? But I've done it the wrong way around. But never mind, we can get around that. So it's now about really carefully going in there, steady hand. So if you've got a shaky hand, a bit like I do, then you're in for a lot of extra painting if you can't hold your paintbrush still. But it should be fine. I think I've got something on the end of my brush there. So sometimes when you're painting, you'll notice you'll get like these small little, almost like they look like the hair of the brush. The bristle of the brush is curling up or something, but it's not. Or 9 times out of 10, it's not. It's usually a bit of paint that's just curling or dried a little bit. So get rid of that, and let's try again with the blue. Here we go. It's just one little area that I need to get. There we go. Ooh, this is right in the tight bit there. Okay, I think that should be good. Well, I do need to go back and tidy now. And that, you often find that when you're painting models. You're always going to have to go back and tidy up bits and bobs. A cheap and easy tip. I like to attach my minis to an empty pot of spice with blue tack. That way they don't put my fingers. Yeah. So we were talking about that earlier, dude. Electric sheep. So if you see here, I've got a base holder and I can attach him to, and I can stick him on there. I just don't like. I like to be close to them. I like having my hand close to the model. So I do it all the time. I feel that sometimes I just don't have as much control, and it may be down to my jitters and shaking. But again, it can work. Just because I'm saying that this is how it works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you guys. I'm just trying to, give you some kind of easy steps to be able to put in place so that you guys can paint models without having to, be an absolute expert. And I'm just telling you the tips that I use. It's nothing special. I'm not absolutely amazing. I'm not godlike status. So there are plenty of ways to skin a cat. So just on this now, talking of skinning the cat, having to go back on the cat and just touch up the edge of the inside of his cape. So where we've slightly gone over the edge on the arm piece, or the inside of the arm, just having to go back and rectify that. There we go. Awesome. That seems to have done it. Oh, don't worry, you missed that part, mate. Not a problem at all. Not a problem. Mate, to be fair, because it was only literally a few minutes ago or so, if it wasn't a few minutes ago, I would have forgot it and been like, oh yeah, I've got this. And I'd have started talking about it and doing the same thing. So don't worry. Don't worry at all. So how are you, Electric Sheep? What's been going on in your world? Are you keeping well? Are you all right? Right, so what else have we got to do here then? So I'm just going to refer back to the box. Again, I'm no pro, and sometimes when I'm painting models, I do, especially ones like this, I do go back to the box just to take a look. So we've currently done all this area around here, and the blue around here. So we've got a lot of gold and brass going on. So we can cover that off. We've got some brown gloves. Obviously the white beard. We've got black boots with silver sort of toe caps. Don't like black boots though. Again, doesn't really look real. When you paint them, it looks really naff, I think. This is my opinion again. So I try and go with like a dark brown. Dark brown just seems to fit a lot better. An Electric Sheep is saying, still alive. That's the main thing. Yeah, 100% that's the main thing. You do not want to be on the other side of that final curtain. That's for sure. So I'm just taking a look at the back of the box right now, just to see if there's any more sort of hints and tips on bits and bobs. It doesn't seem so. So we'll go back to my silver. Just again, mix that up a little bit with some water from my water pot itself, because my silver is from last week, so it's the same silver I used last week. Economizing on the paint. What we're going to do now is we're going to go in and we're going to do just the shoulder pads. So the shoulder pads on the box of silver. So we will stick to the box art on this one because he is a commemorative type model rather than a model of my choice of liking and my creation. So we were talking about retro gaming earlier, and my favourite game being not Dungeons and Dragons, Double Dragon. Double Dragon, the late 80s computer game. Absolutely loved that game. That was by far my bestest that I ever had, if that's good English. But there's no denying there's two other games that stand out for me. One is Mario, of course, and I'm talking about the original Marios, not the latest ones, but the original Marios. My favourite. Right, here's a question for chat. Out of the Marios, the originals, what are your favourite Mario, whatchamacallits? Oh God, computer games. So the originals, I'm talking Mario 1, 2 and 3. What are your original favourites, and would you rank them in order? How would you rank them? I'll tell you my ranking in a second. We've got a couple of questions in the chat. So Adrian is saying, so are you doing an exact copy of the art, or will you change any colours? I think on this one, Adrian, because of the character of who it is and who it's supposed to be, I'm going to try to stick to the art as best I can. Again, it might not be perfect, and there might be a couple of variations because I might not have the colours that they have, or I might not have the patience to mix the colours they've got. But I will try to stick to it because he is a character that is well known. I'm going to try and stick to the colour scheme, just because it's quite nice. And I've also got, well, I haven't got it yet. It's not arrived, but there is a little surprise that I'll bring onto the channel. That's something I ordered, a little something that I ordered that I'll bring onto the channel and show you guys in relation to this model, which is very cool. So I'm going to try and keep this model in a standard colour format. So we had a question from Hells saying, do you use different size brushes to get to the harder to reach bits? Yeah, so I do. It really depends. A lot of models, when you get fairly decent, you can get away with using what you would have previously considered a really large paintbrush. You know, I got this out because I was going to make a short, and apologies I've not made any shorts this week. It's been a very busy week. But one of them I wanted to show you guys because where is it? It's a paintbrush that I kept, right? And I don't even know if you'll be able to see it, right? I'll put my hand here to see if you can see that. Look how fine that brush is. That is where the bristles have come out, where I've used it so many times, but I kept it for doing really fine bits because I thought I needed the tiniest brush possible. Actually, you don't always. It's generally down to a steady hand and the consistency of paint. But there are loads. There are loads. If you're operating hells in the Citadel world, which a lot of my paints are, and some of my brushes, the Citadel have a variety of different types. They come in small, medium, and larges, and they then break the small, medium, larges down by categories. So I think it's base, layer, and detail. So base, you find really big, thick brushes. Layer, slightly less, and then detail, even tinier. And they have small, medium, and larges of each. So you can get some really tiny brushes. The only thing with those is they can get also very, very expensive. So when you get into these really fine brushes, they do get bloody pricey. And I love painting. I find it so relaxing and such a nice thing to do, and a bit of escapism. But I don't also want to pay like 20 quid for one paintbrush. I don't think I'm that good a painter, so I don't need it. But I'd also question anyone else spending 20 quid on a brush. I'd call them pretty mad. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't call them mad, actually. But it is still a lot of money to spend. But if you want to, the option is there to do so. So, yeah, these are more than available. I'm just going to move my camera's set up a bit, just to bring this in a little bit. There we go. So what we've got here, Billy Veteran. The film, I never really got to play the game as it didn't have a Nintendo. Ah, okay. So was it early 80s or is it 89? No, early 90s or 89. They released a Super Mario Brothers movie. So with actors, not many people would probably have seen this even, especially with the latest film with Jack Black in it, which is epic, by the way, if you haven't seen it. So yeah, they did release a Mario Brothers film. That was really cool. But he didn't even have a Nintendo to rank the Super Mario Brothers games. Ah, man. So my rankings of the Super Mario Brothers games, I would put Super Mario Brothers 3 as my favourite. That was without a shadow of a doubt because it had all the cool power-ups. It had all the cool soundtracks. It had it's still 8-bit, but it just seemed slightly better graphics. Still in 8-bit, but still very, very good. And yeah, so that was really cool. I loved that one. Then the original Mario, purely because it's the first one I ever played. The first one I used to throw, kid tantrums at because it was so hard. And then Mario 2. Mario 2 was a weird game. And it wasn't till not so long ago I found out that Super Mario Bros. 2, the computer game, was actually not originally Super Mario Brothers. It was a completely different game. That's why you found in the game that there was weird enemies that you'd never seen before or heard of. And there was and all they did was swap the main characters out for characters that were designed as the Mario Brothers. So it had a completely different character base in it. Yeah, so that's an interesting fact for those of you that like a little nerdy fact. Yeah, Bob Hoskins, Adrian. Yes, the Bob Hoskins one. Yeah, that was a great movie, I thought. I really liked it. Loads of people slated it and said that it sucked, but I thought it was pretty cool. So we're talking about the model himself, so our little man Grom Brindle. I'm now going to go into painting his boots because I feel that we've done we've done the base and we've done up here, and I just feel that the boots just need some love and attention. So I'm going to give that a bit of a love and attention with a bit of a dark brown colour. Just going to use my weird vibration machine to mix up the colour. No, it's not anything dodgy. It's just, and it's not me farting either, so it's just a really weird sound. And if my friend Pete is on, he will know exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, so I'm just mixing this colour up now. Rather than me sitting there shaking, actually having this machine saves your arm. Here we go. Oh crikey, I've just noticed as well, a lot of my colours I'm running out of. They're not looking too good, so that's a lesson for yourself. Always check your paints. Because one thing that drives me absolutely mad is these pots, right? These pots come with these little clips at the back. If I open it up, you see like a little clip at the back. So this bit here, right? And it's a little plasticky bit, but it stops the top from closing properly. And then it bloody dries out. It's like the worst design ever. I don't know who designed this, but it's so poor. I don't get it. It does my absolute Swede in. So you end up sort of closing these pots or thinking you're closing these pots and they never close, and then your paint dries out and then you get all annoyed and stressed and then you rant about it on YouTube. So Hells is saying, sometimes the original games and toys are the best. 100% agree with you. And I think, well, I think toys now, I don't think there really is a toy market anymore. I think that's dead and buried, and I think that's been dead and buried and killed off by, sadly, social media. Social media and the internet has kind of killed off toys, which is really sad, I think. Because kids nowadays, I don't think get to play the same games that I played, or not necessarily the same, but in the same kind of way. They've kind of missed childhood, and they skip from being a kid, because one minute they're a kid and they're talking about X, Y, Z, then all of a sudden they just change. It's really weird. And they don't seem to want to do anything that kids do. Again, really weird. And even weirder is the parents that encourage them to do these adult type things. I can't get that. I can't get my head around that. Not for love nor money. But that's the world we live in. So again, I'm just having a little bit of trouble getting into this boot area. Again, purely because I was a numpty and I assembled the model when I got excited because I had it and I thought it was really cool. And I shouldn't have. I should have just waited. So I think the moral of today's stream is don't assemble models before you paint them. Assemble them bit by bit, paint bit by bit. So what is anyone painting tonight, by the way? Anyone on chat sending out, doing any paints? And what have we got in chat? So Bearded Veteran saying, I much prefer dropper bottles. Yeah, so I tried those as well. I do have some Vallejo dropper bottles. Actually, the first ones I tried came with a Dungeons and Dragons mini that I painted. That was pretty cool. They're not bad. They're not bad. They're not bad. I wouldn't say they're necessarily better or worse. But yeah, in terms of the lids, they don't do the same as these lids do. So yeah, in that sense, they are better. What else we got there? Electric Sheep Vallejo makes nice drop paint. Yeah, they do. They do. There are plenty of really good paint manufacturers out there now for miniatures. I've seen loads because I've attended a few shows this year, some geeky type shows from Comic Con to Dragon Meet to a few others. You start to see all these different stands and you get the opportunity to have a look at them, and actually they're really cool. And some of these manufacturers are really, really good. And once I think I run out of these paints, I will probably move across to someone else. I think I mentioned Turbo Dorks the other day. Their paints are amazing. Um, they're really good, like really good. They're slightly more expensive than these paints, but they're so cool, and they have some of the best colours. So if you're looking for like proper rad, mental crazy colours, Turbo Dorks all the way. By the way, I am not sponsored by Turbo Dorks. I do not work for Turbo Dorks. However, if they wanted to send me some paints, I'd be absolutely free and fine with that. But yeah, they're really cool paints, in all seriousness. Really cool. So they're well worth a look. So if you haven't looked at those, they do a lot of special type ones, that's why. And I love a special paint. Something a bit different, you know? Not just your average brown or your average black or whatnot. Something a bit diff. Something a bit special-roo. So I'm just trying to look at the underside of this model. Again, because we've assembled him before we painted him, you then have the difficulty of checking underneath. So every time you're sort of painting a bit, you have to then move it to check to see where it is you're painting and how good it is and whether you've got it in the right spot. I'm just going to move this light a second. I'm just going to move this around here. Just so I can adjust this camera, because I seem to be not quite in the right place. But there we go. Yeah, so what else we got? They do indeed. My favourite is Vallejo Model Air. Yeah, good paints in the bottle, doesn't dry out, and the paint in the bottle doesn't get contaminated. Yeah, they are good. I can't knock Vallejo. They are good. It's just that when I started painting, because it was only a couple of years ago, really, although I was painting as a kid, I obviously stopped and I'd started painting again in lockdown. There was a Warhammer shop near me, so that's how I found it, basically. And then I just bought a load, and then because they do last some time, as long as you're gentle with your paints, so you don't splosh them on like a madman, they do last forever. Well, not forever. Let's reverse that quote. They last for a good period of time. So yeah, when I run out, I will probably swap to another brand. And also, just a bit of difference gives them, gives you different colours to experiment with, because not all manufacturers do the same colour. So and it does. Like, I know it sounds really sad, but like having 4 or 5 different browns, or 6 different greens, or whatever it is, it's actually really handy, because it means that you can paint various different tones, different shades on one item. Or if you've got, I don't know, a character and he's carrying a satchel and he's got a side pouch and he's got XYZ, you can use browns for it all, but because they're different browns, they look different. Yeah, of course they do, Steve. But it looks cool as well. It looks a little bit more realistic, rather than having one set colour throughout. That's not to say you can't have one set colour. It's just to say that to make it look a little bit better, a little bit more spesh, it's nice to have a variety of colours. So is anyone painting tonight, by the way, guys? Is anyone painting whilst they're watching? I'd love to know what you guys are painting. If anyone else out there is painting, that is. Or indeed, are you considering painting? Maybe you tuned in looking for just some random fitness talk or something, and you're looking at starting to paint now. That is interesting too. So we're carrying on with our chat here. I'm just making sure that I'm capturing everything and making sure I've got everyone talking, captured all the questions. So I think we'll stop just there, because, as always at Minis and Muscles, we always have a muscle moment. And I think it is time for our muscle moment, just because it gives me a break from the painting side. It means I can sit up for a moment and look at you guys rather than looking at the model. There we go, back into full screen. I always feel like I sit like I'm tilted to one side. I think I've got like a dodgy back and I end up like this all the time, sit to one side. So if you see me sat to one side, say, Steve, sit straight, and I'll sit back up. So, our muscle moment. Thinking of the brawn meets the brush, well, let's get over to the brawn. And what I wanted to talk about today in our muscle moment was really simple, learning from others. So, I spend, I'm just going to put my lid on my wet palette whilst I'm there. I spend lots of time every week in the gym. I speak to, I go there and I sit there and I take my little workout with me. I go in there and do my warm-up on the treadmill, then I go off and do the weights and throw a few bits of metal around. Excuse me. And I'm always in there and I'm always watching people. Not in a weird way, but I'm watching people to understand what they're doing. I always love to learn. So if I can pick up a learning tip, trick from somebody, it doesn't matter who it is, I just like to take in that information and understand what they're doing, why they're doing it. So I'm always like, I feel like the gym weirdo, because I'm always watching people. It doesn't matter who they are, what they're doing. I'm like, oh, what's that person? The reason why it normally catches my eyes because it's something I don't do. And my train of thought here is you should watch people because you learn from people. If they're doing something you're not doing, why is that? Can you understand they're doing a lat pull down, but they're doing it with one arm or something, or they're doing a bicep curl with their pinky fingers, or what is it they're doing? Is that beneficial, or do you think that could be beneficial? And can you implement it into your own training session? So you can always learn from others in the gym. And there's a good reason why you'd want to. It's because you always want to make gains. Everyone wants to make that next progression and that next step. So I was in my gym, was it last week? Yes, last week. And I always make it a mission of mine to speak to people, to quiz them, basically. To quiz them what they're doing, why they do it, blah, 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 blah. And I always find the biggest bloke in the gym, or the most muscular person in the gym I can find, because I either sit there and say, well, I'm not at that stage yet and I'd like to be, so what have they done that I'm not doing? So I go there, I chat to these different individuals, these different people, say, oh, and I met a really nice guy actually in the gym the other week, and he's insanely huge, like beyond belief. And I was chatting away to him, and he's an ex-pro bodybuilder of some sort, but a really nice guy, like super nice. There you go, twisted shoulder, it's going down like that. So he's a really nice guy, ex-bodybuilder. I was just talking to him about what he does and how he does it. And I was kind of explaining my workouts to him, and I had a good old chat, really nice. And ever since then, every time I see him, he comes and chats to me and he says bits and bobs and gives me little tips and tricks, which is really cool. And I couple that with a couple of other people that I've spoken to over the past month. And it turns out when I'm looking at my own training and being critical of myself, that it's volume that I'm not getting enough of. So I've got to a point in my training where I've plateaued. So I've got to a point in my physique and I'm like, if I want to get bigger, how do I get bigger? How do I get more muscular? How do I grow more size or definition or whatever it is? Because I've plateaued and I've kind of stopped, or it's really slowed down. So I thought, right, speak to the biggest, baddest people in the gym. Walk up to them, chat to them, make friends, and find out what they're doing. So I picked a few brains, and it turns out that volume is missing from my regime in the gym, which is absolutely fine. You know, it's a good learning point, and it's something I didn't consider that I was doing at the time. Basically, if everything I was doing in the gym was 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps, 3 sets of 8 to 10 of everything, and the different sessions I was doing. But it doesn't matter. 3 sets of 10 was my rule. And one of the blokes was like, "Oh no, you need to be doing, you know, up to 15." So one guy said up to 20 on legs, and I was like, "Oh, 20 on legs." But this guy, honest to God, I've never seen legs so bloody big. They like literally the width of my shoulders was one of his legs. It was crazy. So he obviously knows what he's talking about because he's got this massive physique. So yeah, so I learned from these couple of individuals. So my key takeaway for you guys is if you're in the gym, speak to people. If there's someone in the gym that you see, and you could be a lady and you think, oh, that other lady's got the body that I want, or you know, you could be a bloke and you could be sat in the gym and going, God, that guy's got arms and I just don't have arms that size. How did he get that? Go and talk to them. Genuinely, 9 times out of 10, these people are, oh, is that me that does that? Is that me that does that when I do that? Or is that a thumbs up from somebody? I don't know. But generally, these people in the gym are quite nice. You do get your idiots in the gym, so you do get your influencers that sit in the gym and they think the poop don't stink, and they come across with a bit of an attitude, or they sort of prance around like they own the place, or they have cameras like this set up, you know, and they think that they own the gym. They don't, and most people don't like them, so including yourself. So you're not alone in that thought. But yeah, go and speak to people because they're really nice generally. Most people are pretty sound, and you can always get a good tip out of them. So that would be my tip of the day for our muscle moment. Go speak to people, learn from what other people are doing, what you're not. It's actually quite a good tip for life, actually. If you want to be somewhere that you're not and you see someone that's in that position, go and speak to them. You never know. I made it an aim of mine a few years ago to speak to at least 10 people a day. God, that was hard. And I mean 10 new people, not like your bestie or your other half or whatever. I mean like 10 new people that you don't know, go and speak to them. That was a really hard challenge. But yeah, so there's my fitness muscle moment. Just so you can get that brawn meets the brush experience. So how are we all in chat? What's going on? Has anyone got any fitness questions, by the way, whilst I set back up for the remainder of the stream and our paint? Has anyone got any questions at all on fitness? I would love to hear some fitness questions. I'd love to be able to help people with their fitness questions, by the way. I don't charge for it, don't worry. You can pay me if you want to, but I don't charge for it. But I'd love to give any advice if people are in need of advice or would like some advice. I would absolutely love to give it. So that's part of what we're here for at Mini-N-Muscles. You know, we're here for the mini painting and the geek side, but also here just to let people know that geeks can enjoy the gym. So when you see a muscly bloke or a super trim chick or whatever, she might be a geek. He might be a geek. And that's completely okay. So don't judge a book by the cover. But most people do, don't they, to be fair? Two is speak to people. So, any fitness questions? Anything burning desires that you want to ask? As I paint this little guy's brown boots. It's not looking too bad at the moment. Though I did notice some of the blue that I've gone over that I need to correct. Muscle memory, Adrian's saying. Yeah, so muscle memory. Well, if you have a specific question on muscle memory, Adrian, do fire away with that. And whilst I'm sort of thinking of what to say, or sorry, whilst you're thinking of what to say, I'll kind of just chip in with my thoughts. Muscle memory. Well, firstly, does it exist, or is it uh, complete and utter bullcrap? Yes, it does exist. So muscle memory is where you spend X amount of years doing a certain thing, and that doesn't necessarily have to be on a fitness level either. It could be absolutely anything. It could be painting, for example. But muscle memory massively exists in the fitness world. That's why you'll see quite a few people go from, they'll be out of shape, and then all of a sudden, within a few weeks or months, they'll all of a sudden get a great looking body, or not a great looking body, but have some real quick improvements. That's generally down to muscle memory. Yes, there is an element of performance enhancing substances that some people choose to use. A lot of famous people choose to use. That's an annoyance because it creates a false picture, right? But if that's what they choose to do, that's what they choose to do. Just don't claim that you don't. You can't be 50 odd years of age. I'm not going to name the individual, but you can't be 50 odd years of age, be in better shape than you was in your 20s, and not be on something. It's kind of unrealistic, and it gives unrealistic impressions for especially young people who are hugely impressionable and vulnerable in that sense. They then think that they can get that kind of body if they buy the vest that person is wearing, or if they do XYZ, they can get that body too. Well, not always, but muscle memory does exist, and it is really helpful. So for me, although I started in 2016 back into weight, so when I was in the military, did a lot of cardiovascular, and then in 2016 transitioned into weightlifting, and it's taken me from 2016 to now, so it's like 8 years, almost 9 years of weightlifting to get to the shape I am. That's a freaking long time, long old time, but worth it. But if I stopped now and I took 6 months off, in fact last year actually, I had a bit of a downtime last year from the gym, purely because I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it, wasn't in the right mind space or headspace, sorry. And I stopped. I thought, oh, sod this, I'm not doing it. I can't be asked. I'm not enjoying it, so I'm not doing it. Completely refused to do the gym. Refused myself to do the gym, and I put on a little bit of chunk, as we all do. I mean, some people call it fluff, chunk, whatever, fat. I got lazy, because we all have those moments in life. And then this year, I decided to turn it back round again, and I got absolutely serious and dedicated again, and smashed it, and got back into it. And now I'm back in form and looking pretty good. Not perfect, but getting there. So muscle memory does exist and it does work. But my muscles came back quicker. My point about me taking the time off, my muscles came back quicker because I'd already been at that level previously. I'd just taken a bit of a hiatus. If I hadn't have been there, it would have taken even longer to get there. But it does exist. It does exist and it is effective, but it won't get you everything. That's for sure. Any other fitness questions out there on the chat? Or any other questions as a whole? Maybe it's a question about our Trepid Adventurer here, Grom Brindle. And you want to know something about him? I might not know the answer though, that's the only thing. But I'll try to answer. So we're just doing the fronts of his boots at the moment. Fronts of his boots, Adrian, you'll be happy to know we are going against the grain here because the front of his boots and the box are silver. But there's a lot of silver in this model, like all around, and I'm trying to get away from that. So I've gone with this like fiery bronze kind of colour, which is pretty sweet. Looks pretty cool. So now you can see his shiny little boots, or the fronts of his boots, the toe cap. So he's still toe cap. So he's a right old thug, Grombrindle. He's still toe caps. Squarish says, my struggle since leaving the army is motivation. It's easier when you have a set of PT sessions you're required to go to and a PTI to set the agenda. Yeah, 100%, mate. And as an ex-PTI, it's just as much of a struggle. You know, when you're in the military and someone is paying you to go and do fitness every other day of the week, you know, that's massively helpful, right? Because it's a pure excuse. So you can go and do that, and you can get away with, you know, being super fit, and it is a motivator, because if you don't, you're going to be in the right crap. So yeah, so I completely get it, mate. How do you get around it is the question. So we spoke last week about 2 ways to do that. And the 2 ways that I would recommend to you would be either, number 1, get yourself a training buddy. So someone else that is committed as much as you are, that is, you know, sold in the cause of what they want to do with you, and you're both going to go to the gym and you're not going to let each other down. So as soon as you have a training buddy, you'll be scared to let that person down. So say if you and me, Squarish, were going to the gym, you'd be like, oh crap, it's gym day today, I can't be asked, but Steve's going and I can't tell him now because it's really late to cancel on him, and he'll turn up. And I will do exactly the same. You know, so do not think for one moment that even, you know, people with the best bodies in the world, they will have days where they cannot be asked. 100% trust me. So yeah, they are not motivated. So find yourself a gym buddy and commit to them. Second, set yourself the goal. It has to be realistic. So don't set a goal like, you know, for example, me, Steve, I weigh 500 kilograms in weight and I want to get down to 50 kilograms. Completely unacceptable, because you're never going to get there in a short period of time. That will take you years to do sustainably. But set yourself a goal like, I don't know, the Couch to 5K challenge. Do the Couch to 5K challenge. That's easy, or easy to commit to, that is. You get an app that helps you. Set reminders on your phone, you know, and just put maybe little things around your house to remind you. It might be a post-it on the back of the toilet door. So every time you sit down on the toilet, you see a note saying, don't forget to do your run today, keep going, or remember that goal, because if you, I don't know, if you're a lady and if you get down to X size, you will be able to put on X dress or something like that. Have little motivational points, put them around your house. No problem in that. There's no shame in it. So yeah, that'd be two easy ones, I'd say. The third one, it's you're not going to be able to get round it, is going to the gym. I know that sounds really stupid, but you can talk your way out of turning up to the gym in the first place. So getting up, getting off your ass and going to the gym is actually really difficult, especially when you're not feeling great, or you're not feeling motivated, or, you know, for whatever reason you're feeling down or out or whatnot. Take yourself to that gym. Take advantage of their classes. A lot of gyms have plenty of really good classes nowadays that you can attend. When I started doing weights, before I jumped into the free weights section, I used to do a class called Body Pump. So Body Pump, I don't know if you've seen it or heard of it, but it is basically throwing around a load of weights whilst listening to some music, and it's all to do with the timing of the music. So you move the weights to the music. It's really easy. It's not really easy, actually, because you work hard, but it's really easy because you turn up. The instructor's there, like you would have had in the military, Squarish. They would then tell you what to do. You follow them, copy them, done, out. Same as spin classes. Pretty much every gym franchise I know runs classes of some sort. And then failing that, you know, a personal trainer. Would a personal trainer be worth it? You might think, oh, it's a lot of money, but would a personal trainer motivate you enough to get your ass out of bed so that you achieve? If the answer is yes, then, oh, crikey, okay, so it might cost you some money, but actually, is that a good investment? I would say yes, to get you into the right frame of mind. And then you might be within 3 months, you'll be able to start to do stuff all by yourself. So it'd be a great way to kickstart it. You say it had a good experience with a CrossFit gym, giving the same effect, but the cost turned out prohibitive. Yeah, so that's the thing. Some of it, like, I'm not a massive fan of CrossFit. That's just personally me. But you know, does the gym become expensive? Some gyms do. Then you have to counterbalance that with obviously realities of life and paying and sustaining for your own life and your own self, whether that's food, mortgage, bills, and all that jazz, and perhaps making a sacrifice. So don't have that extra takeaway. Don't, I'm going to have to readjust my back because I'm sitting all funky. Yeah, don't have that extra takeaway. Don't go and buy a Starbucks. Sacrifice that so that you can make gains elsewhere. And that's very much a life thing, isn't it? Where, X amount of sacrifice has to be made all the time. Otherwise, you'll never take the next steps forward. It's an unfortunate, hideous reality. But, it's the truth, and you will get there one day. What else have we got there? I've got the training area on my doorstep, but I don't strap on the trainers. Right, then, Adrian, you know what you're doing. So, set yourself a goal, find a gym buddy. Find someone to go running with. Find someone to get out there with and do that training with. Or, like I said, turn up to a gym, pay the gym membership, suck up the price, as long as it's not some hideous, Duncan Bannon time, £150 a month type membership. Just jump on and find a gym that's a good rate. There's like a local gym to me. Oh God, what's it called now? I can't remember the bloody name of it. That's really got me. But I can't remember the name. But it's a local gym to me, and I think it's like £20-something a month. I get that £20-something a month can be a stretch sometimes, but I guarantee you can make savings somewhere if actually what you want is to get fit again. After you do exercise, you feel good. The brain releases endorphins into your bloodstream, giving you the buzz. The problem is you have to do the effort. Yeah, that's very true, Adrian. So yeah, you do have to get up off your butt and do something about it, right? You're never going to get away from that, buddy. There's no quick fix to that, unfortunately. So I'm sorry, bro. That is just how it is. Yeah, no fix, I'm afraid. No fix for that one. So, looking back on our model, although he's not completely tidy yet. He does have his blue arms and his little coat on and his belt and his armour. We're just going to put a bit of white onto his beard, just so it feels like the next appropriate place to go. His beard is very big, so let's start on from that. Let's start getting some white in there. I can hear my cat outside meowing to come in. But if I let her in, all she'll do is meow and want treats and want treats and want treats. And she'll be a pain in the bum. So she's not coming in. And don't fill the chat with, oh, you're so mean. I'm not. I adopted this cat that was living in a bush outside my house. So I look after her. But she is, as all animals are sometimes, an absolute gannet. Right, so we're starting to get a bit of white in here. It's starting to look pretty cool. The colours are starting to fill out. And when you're doing this one, I was contemplating going really lightly and almost dry brushing his beard. But actually, I've decided I'm going to use some shading colours afterwards just to take out some of the, or to bring out, sorry, some of the definition in the model. So we were saying the other week about choosing a good model that is well printed so that when you paint it, there's lots of detail that you can get out of the model. So that's what we'll be doing here. So I will be using, I'm using a very thin coat of paint. So it's fairly, not watery is not the right word, but fairly runny is probably the better word. So that it's not covering all of the detail on the model. So when we come to put some shading in there, it won't completely cover it up, and you'll still get some of the details that will come through rather than sitting there and the paint will just fill all gaps. Nothing worse than that. So again, being fairly slapdash here, although he's got these, what will be, I guess, brass or something ends on his beard, beard ties or whatever we call them. I don't know because I don't have a beard. But he's got those on, so we're going over those a little bit, but that's not too much of a worry. And actually, for when you're doing a colour like that, that will be a beard tie, they're usually golds and brassy, sort of metallic-y kind of colours. Having a white underbase in parts of it, it's not going to do it too bad because it will bring the colour out and make it shine more. And for a metallic, that's not a bad place. So we'll just do that. Slap a bit of white in there. So any other things? Yeah, the gym is absolutely worth the money. Multiple classes daily, and in a in-house Olympic weight training instructor on staff. Wow. Once my camera has paid off, it's one of the first things I'm doing again. Yeah, man. I'd 100% say it's a great thing to get back into. Mind and body. I made a bit of a cheesy short, I suppose, the other day about mind and body and all that, but it is really important. I was out with my dad the other day. He's in his 60s, so he's not that old. And we met another bloke, and he was the same age as my dad, and he looked like twice as old. He looked in his 80s, and I come away with my dad. I said, see, that's why it's important that you stay fit and you stay healthy and you don't just sit on your ass and do nothing all day. I said, because you'll end up like that poor unfortunate guy. And a lovely bloke he was, the guy that we met, but Christ alive, he looked like 80 years of age, bless him. He has had a hard knocks paper round, that's for sure. Yeah, really tough paper round. So I was just saying in here, Hells is saying, I'm still getting the confidence to get to the gym. Waiting for the first... What's that? Waiting for the first... I can't see it because there's a little thing right in the way. Mod. Was that model? I can't open that. Hang about. Waiting for... Oh, it's okay. Okay, so I've just opened my screen a bit. I can see it a bit better. So you're still getting the confidence to get to the gym. Does that mean, how's that... Sorry for my stupidity. Does that mean that you're getting the confidence and you're building it to go in the first place? Or because you've been going, you're now getting the confidence in going? Just to clarify. And then you say you're waiting for your first model to arrive. Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. What model did you get? That's the interesting part. What did you buy? That's very interesting. Well, I'm glad that you're doing a bit of modelling. That's very cool. Models are super awesome. They're possibly one of my favourite things to do. Apart from one or two other bits and bobs. Like the gym, I'd say models are on a par with the gym. I'd actually say I have more... I find more fun in the gym. In model painting than I do the gym. Gym hurts more. The gym, not Jim, hurts more. Let's make sure we clarify that. yeah, so we're getting to the end of doing our Grombrindle's hair and beard, which is looking very, very big. It's got some massive, big, bushy hair. Sorry, I keep on moving out of camera, don't I? You have to remind me, chat, if I move out of camera, you can't see what the heck I'm doing. Beats the crap out of me and say, Steve, you fool, you're out of camera range. So just paste all this in here. Go over this lovely black. I mean, what you could do here is, and what I was tempted to do, is almost go with a dry brush effect. So that's where you take very little paint at all on a rather thick brush, and you very gently dust over the parts itself. And when you do that, as the bristles from the brush meet the miniature, the brush bristles only touch the sort of the raised areas of the model as all the little bits and bobs stand out. So when that happens, you get this really cool effect. In fact, I'll bring across a model in a bit to show you. But you get a really cool effect on your model. So you get a bit of the black in the background, but you still get the white across the top. So you almost get like a greying kind of effect. And it's really powerful. So one thing I really liked doing that on, and I'll show you the mini that I painted, was a wolf. So I painted a wolf, and I used that effect, so a dry brushing effect across the top. And it's so impactful. It looks really, really good, and super worth doing. So if you're ever considering that, it will be one of my tutorials when the tutorial videos are done and they're up. So dry brushing will be one of them. That's a good question, actually, guys. Does anyone want any tutorial videos of any sorts, like how to do X? I've got a list that I've drawn up that I'm going to do. I just wonder if there's anything specific that anyone was trying to achieve that they would want help with. Not that I'm definitely going to be able to help you, but I'll give it my best try. So almost done on our boy Grombrindle here on his beard. Again, to be fair, we probably should have done his face first, but you know, c'est la vie. The reason why we should have done his face first is because now, when you look, if we now do his face, it will go over the edge, whereas if you did the face first, you could then do the hair over the top and it wouldn't matter because you could tidy up all the hairs around the face itself. But that's okay, you know. There's no hard and fast rules really with painting. You do it as you see it, as you like, you know. Don't beast yourself too much about it. It's not worth worrying about too much. Just do it so you're enjoying it. That's the main thing. Plus, as well, I am nattering away like a madman to you guys, so I'm probably not concentrating as highly as what I should be. Yeah, so any other questions that you've got, guys, about sorry, any requests that you would have for the tutorials? So like one of them, for example, is going to be how to do eyes, because eyes are very difficult. Or I've certainly found that painting eyes are very difficult on models. But is there anything specific that you guys might be painting at the moment and you think, oh, I'd love to know how to do that? Or can Steve help me with that? Hopefully I can. So yeah, if you've got any thoughts on tutorial videos and what you would like to see, please do let me know. It could be, so Hells, you're talking about a first model. It could be something simple like what paintbrush should I use first, or you know, anything. How do I start off on a model, or yeah, so anything you want on a tutorial, happy to do that. Just getting in those nooks and crannies again. So another thing that you'll know when, or notice rather, when you're painting. So let's bring him into view again. So when you're doing all this beard and things like that, and you've got a lot of this sort of fine miniature detail that sits on the miniature itself, so you can't quite see it on the camera here. Maybe I'll change camera actually. Let's go for the phone camera. Here we go. So you can see here some of the lines on his beard and things like that. The reason I chose not to do the dry brushing is because I'm going to use some of the contrast type paints just to bring the whiteness, the harshness of the white off, just to dull it down a little bit. We'll do that not this session today, but we've got what, 10 minutes left or so. But we'll do that on the next session afterwards. But he's looking not too bad. Oh, so let's just. So there you go. He's got his beard. He's got his nice shoes or his boots. He's got a little sort of bronze belt. He's got his blue undercoat. He's got his blue undercoat. He's got his red cape. So he's looking real smart at the moment. So yeah, he's looking all right. So he's getting there. But bear in mind, look, there's. Oh, let's zoom out a bit. Like a bit of white splodge on his face, for example. You know, on those little bits that go around the end, you can see a black bit on his beard, right on the end of this tassel there. That's where those little copper bracelet things go around his beard. Doesn't matter if you go over them. It's not too much of a fuss. So you don't have to be perfect, is my point. But he's looking all right so far. He's slowly coming to life, and that's what I love about models. As you start to paint them, they really do start to come to life just ever so slowly. Just move the camera around there. He looks quite cool, doesn't he? So bit by bit, he's getting there. So, you know, we'll have him done in a few sessions. So let's put that camera down and just switch back. There we go. So we got some questions come in. Steve, do you ever use semaphore highlighting? Semaphore highlighting. Explain what that is. I might well do semaphore highlighting. I just don't know what it is. Adrian's saying, nice chatting, Steve. See you in game Monday. Yes, I shall see you Monday, sir. Not a problem. Have a lovely weekend. Hells, how would you know they're doing it properly? How do you know they're doing it properly? Who doing it properly? Sorry, I've missed the context to that question. If you want to repost it, I'll happily answer it. It's not a problem. Squarish is saying, I think I made the mistake when I had my issues of focusing too much on mind and forgetting muscle. Yeah, need to rebalance. My granddad is ex-army PTI, now 90, still walks miles a day to keep active. Yeah, so having the balance in your life, and, you know, like I said last year, for me, my focus was taken away because I had things that were stressing me out. So I didn't do the gym. I didn't want to do the gym. So I chose not to. I ploughed myself into doing loads of models. So, you know, your time will come, Squarish, and, you know, it's just a matter of taking care of things that you need to take care of, be that mind or body, or soul, and making sure it's all ready. And when it's ready, it will be right, and you'll be able to get back into the gym. So don't worry. And you're saying your granddad is ex-army PTI, now 90, walks miles a day to keep active. That's mega that he's 90 and he's walking miles a day. So my granddad, before he passed, he had a brain tumour, bless him. But when one of the funny stories, because he was army as well, when he was in hospital, because he had a brain tumour, he was forgetting a lot of things. So he'd forget who they were while he was in hospital, and he basically walks out of hospital one day. All the way home, he walked like something like 12 miles home by himself. I don't know how he managed to get home, but like it was like he was. We've got some kind of stories back from it. It was like he was. He thought he was the naughty boy that was escaping the MPs. So he was like sneaking about trying to get home. 12 miles he walked though, absolutely mental. So Bearded Veteran's saying painting animals would be interesting. Stuff like horses, dogs and wolves, etc. Oh yeah, that reminds me. I'll grab my wolf in a second before we go. Painting stonework, yeah. Oh, thank you, saying that looks so cool. Thank you, mate. Yeah, much appreciated. Zemaphore is where you prime in black, then spray top down with grey and white to create highs and lows prior to painting. Yes, so I have seen Zemaphore painting or undercoating. 100%, I've seen it. Didn't realise that's what it was called, so apologies there. But I have seen it, have tried it. Again, I'm not a massive fan because I find the white undercoating only needs to be applied to certain things. Like if you're doing metals, white undercoating is not too bad. If you've got like a gem or something or a gemstone and you want it to really stand out, that's when I quite like white. If you want the colour to stand out. If I don't want it to be like really pingy, the colour, I just undercoat in black. That's kind of just my look on models, but you know, I'm not a god, I'm not a professional, I'm not here to say what's right and wrong. I just say what I do and what I've experienced. I will grab a model. 2 seconds, let me grab him. I will grab my wolf model so I can show you, and I can bring him into frame because I absolutely love this guy. So this is Albus Gimbal. He is the Gnome Ranger. Let me get my camera. Let's switch up cameras here. Here we go. Right. This is Albus Gimbal and his pet wolf. So can we see? This is dry brushing, like in its prime. So he was undercoated black. Okay, then you just got a very light grey and just brushed over. And where you brush really lightly over the detailing of the model brings out all of the fur. And he looks freaking awesome. He looks so smart. Oh, Mira Manga, cute. Yeah, he is cute, right? He's the Gnome Ranger. Yeah, welcome, Mira. Welcome to the channel. Yes, he is really cool. His name's Albus Gimbal, the gnome himself. Let's see if I zoom in too much, you lose focus. But he's a teeny tiny gnome model. And it took a while to do his eyes and his eyebrows and stuff like that. He was when I left him, he was a level 5 ranger. But yeah, that's dry brushing on that wolf. And it's so cool. Really easy to do, not hard whatsoever, and it has that kind of effect. And I think that looks really smart. So yeah, that's really cool. I like that effect. Dry brushing, very cool. So we had Mira Manga join the channel. If you don't know Mira, Mira has her own YouTube channel. She talks lots and lots and lots about cool things such as Warhammer, mainly Warhammer and the lore of Warhammer, reading the books and what goes with that. I'll just move that out of the way so we're wrapping up. Yeah, she talks very highly and very intelligently about all those books. She reads books very fast. I'm still, yes, Mira, still on book 1. I know, it's shocking. I have a reading speed of a child. I know, you can take the mickey of me next time I see you. But yeah, she has a really cool channel. So guys, go check it out if you want to understand lore on Warhammer. If you enjoy also understanding interviews with people that write the Warhammer books. So she does some interviews with people like Dan Abnett, for example. So very cool interviews with some really interesting people. So if you like those kind of books, 100% hop on her channel, subscribe, and take a look at those interviews there. She also on a Sunday does, oh crikey, the Ian Livingstone sort of choose your own adventure books. I've forgotten, Fighting Fantasy. That's what they're called. And they're doing she does fighting fantasy books where you know she reads them and you choose along with her the adventure and how to what sort of actions to take as your adventurer tries to escape or defeat evil. So yeah, they're very cool as well. If you've never had a Ian Livingstone fighting fantasy book, I would highly recommend that because they're awesome. I remember them from my childhood, so they're super cool. So I quite often pop onto Mira's channel on a Sunday and watch her streams. So what we're having here, Mike painting stone would be a good one to see. at the moment. I use a lot of oils and dry brush to bring out detail, but love to see how others do it. Squarish. Yeah, so, I should probably, if I grab this model, this was one of my first attempts at doing stone, detail on stone. I probably have to switch cameras again, don't I? Silly Billy. Let's bring the light back in and let's switch cameras. So this guy here, this is a Space Marine, Torgadon, and you can see the highlighting and edging on this stonework. If I just move the stone about a bit, and this was the first time I'd ever done any highlighting at all and edging, and that's just using a slightly varied different colour on the stone and just using it on those right angles and making it pop out a little bit. But he's quite cool. He's quite a cool model. So he's very good. I also did this sort of highlighting and edging on some of his armour just to make some of the bits just stand out just slightly. But yeah, he's very cool. But we can do a session on that, and we can certainly do a tutorial on that. Let's switch back here. So our last couple of questions we've got. Horus is very naughty boy. Yeah, Horus is, yeah, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. Mira, don't spoil. I've only got book 1, so don't tell me. I do kind of know already parts of the lore, so you're okay, you're safe. But yes, he is very naughty. Kazilid from Adrian. I don't know what's Kazilid. Kazilid? Am I missing something here? I'm not quite sure. But anyway, I'm not sure. We've been going 2 hours now, guys. Crikey. I can talk the hind legs off a donkey. I'm going to take a sip of my drink. So, this is our Grombrindle. And here he is so far through the paints of the last couple of sessions. Oh, now I need to go that way because it's opposites. So he's getting there. The rocks are done in a base colour, that is. The sort of silver parts are done. A few gold bits. His beard. He's got his little blue jacket on. His armour's done. I keep on moving the wrong way. There you go. You can see the armour through the side there. And his cape at the back. And now his hair's done. So he's looking very, very white. So yeah, so that's where we are with our models so far. We spoke today about retro gaming. Remember, nobody apart from maybe one person told me what their favourite computer game is. Come on. Just before we wrap up, come on, tell me your favourite computer games, guys. Come on, chat. I want to hear it. Favourite computer games, old computer games. Let's go back a few years. Tell me what your favourites are. I've already told you mine. Mine was Double Dragon. Also loved the Mario series, the originals, that is, 1, 2 and 3. Zelda. Loved Zelda. So RPGs. Oh, that's a good one. Side scrollers like platformers or RPGs. What do people like more? That's a great question. I don't know what I'd answer on that, actually. I'd probably... See, I even played Zelda recently. I got a Switch, a Nintendo Switch, and I played that. That's quite good. King's Quest. Ooh, King's Quest, The Longest Journey. Night Law. Oh, God. Hungry Horus. Oh, crikey. You're really putting in the games there, Mira. King's Quest. What was that on? Oh, I feel like I need to Google that. So what's Adrian saying there? Adrian is saying Kazilid is a secret dwarven language, a pun on the lid of the Kazi. Oh, okay, got you. I didn't realise that was a secret dwarven language. Discworld was my favourite fantasy one. Yeah, that was a classic. Bomberman on the SNES. Oh, what a blinding game that was. I love multiplayer Bomberman, though. Not single player, that sucked. Multiplayer with your mates, smashing each other up. That was brilliant. Absolutely loved that. King's Quest. King's Quest. Oh, yeah, I do remember that. Nice. Can you get that now? It's out on Steam, apparently. The complete collection, Mira. I've just Googled it whilst I sat here. Wow, I didn't realise they re-released that. That's really cool. Wowzers. Because that was proper retro. That was like was that on like an Amstrad or a Commodore 64? I think that was on. Maybe Mira, you might know. But yeah, that was proper cray cray. That is retro. That is super retro. They did a final one. Oh, okay. With Christopher Lloyd. Oh, cool. Oh, I really didn't know. I might actually have to get that. Yeah. Okay, well, maybe you've convinced me. And it made me sob to the end. Oh, Mira. Oh, no. Okay, well, maybe I don't want to get it because I might sob to the end myself. Don't want that. Leisure Suit Larry. Leisure Suit Larry. Mira. Oh my lord. Right. If anyone else is online watching, right, Leisure Suit Larry, if you've never seen this, this is a game, early 90s game. Yeah, it was early 90s. How do I put this? So Larry used to control Larry to go and chat up women, basically. I'll leave that. I won't say any more, but go and look at Leisure Suit Larry. If it's not that bad. But I did actually, Mira. They did make a more modern day one. If you've not seen that. So Squarish, it says my top game of all time though. Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri on Windows 95. Many hours of me and my brother playing that together. Oh my lord, I've never played that game. Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. Never played it. Well, hey, look, any game is quality as long as it encapsulates you. It takes you away to that magical place, and it takes you to a map like this behind me, and you go there and you can lose yourself in a world that's completely fantasy based and cool. I do like that. Helped him find love. Oh, you helped him find love, Mira. Well done. I think in the 90s, 99% of boys that played that weren't really trying to help him find love. They were trying to help him do other things in the game. Adrian is saying, the Hobbit adventure game. If you spent too long anywhere, you got the prompt, all the dwarves sit in the corner and talk about gold. Yeah, well, hey, dwarves love mining. So yeah, 100% they're going to talk about gold and silver and mining and all the rest of that good stuff. So yeah, of course they are. Either that or they're going to be grumpy because they haven't got no beer. That's generally a dwarven thing, isn't it? Like I say, my favourite characters are always dwarves. Whether it's playing Baldur's Gate 3 on the PS5, which I've done recently, love that game, it's very good. It's not retro, but it's very cool. I played a dwarf. Or whether it's old games, play a dwarf. Oh, it's the precursor to Civilization games, but it's sci-fi based. Oh, right, okay. So you're talking about this Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri is a sci-fi based precursor to Civilization. Right, okay, so I know Civilization, quality game. So if it's that, in just a sci-fi version, that would be pretty sweet, actually, to be fair. So I would give that a go for sure. That sounds good. Bit of veteran, what are you saying? He said, we had a game on the computers in school where you had to make a motorbike jump as far as possible. The further you got, the less clothes the score woman had on. Until the school noticed. Yeah, I can guess that. Yeah, definitely. Oh man. Well, you never know. You never know. You never know with these games. But yeah, if you like a game where you jump across a bridge and ladies reveal their clothes and Leisure Suit Larry's for you, bearded veteran. Well, my lovely people, we've had an absolute blast. We've been on for 2 hours 10 minutes. But I suppose I probably should wrap up the live, really. I do need to write some of these tutorials, so look out for the tutorial videos. They will come up as soon as I can get them up, and I'm going to post them onto my main YouTube channel. So you'll see them there. There'll be basic painting stuff, so like how to paint eyes, priming, all that sort of jazz. basic simple stuff to get you started. So nothing complex, nothing too difficult. What else? I've got. I will try and do some shorts this week as well. But if you can, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, turn your notifications on, all that good stuff if you haven't already done it. Pass the link on to your friends. Feel free to chat in the chat and all the rest of it. There is a Discord. I think I've got the link. If you look at the link tree on the YouTube channel, it's got a Discord there, so you can join the Discord server and chat in there as well. We can have some more chatty times. But yeah, what's Mira saying here? Love the Hobbit game. Thorin sings. Yes, Bearded Veteran says he looks forward to tutorials and of course next Friday's live. Have a good weekend, everybody. Yes, have a good weekend. Thank you to everybody that has joined today. I really appreciate it. Appreciate your chat. Appreciate your support. I didn't think I'd be still doing this 3 weeks on and still doing it and still enjoying it, which I am. And the lives seem to get longer and longer. I suppose that's only a good thing. What's Adrian saying there? Snake on BBC. Yeah. So there was a game. Do you remember? There was on the BBC computer on the RS Nimbus. Did anyone remember a game called Granny's Garden? That was retro. But yes, Mira saying, bye, you happy painting? Yes, I keep on chatting and extending the chat. I've got to say goodbye because I've got to turn my live off and do stuff. But like, follow, subscribe, turn your notifications on, share the links. Thank you so much for supporting, guys. Everybody out there that watches this, really appreciate it. Look out for the tutorials that are coming hopefully next week or starting next week, and any shorts that I make. And I will see you all next time here on the Minis and Muscles channel, 7 p.m. BST on Friday, okay? Have a lovely weekend, people. Take it easy, and I will see you all very soon. Thank you.